A misty morning in Maricopa, New Zealand, a place where neighbors greet each other by name, where the worst crime in decades was a stolen bicycle. But on December 9th, 2021, the unthinkable happened. Tom Phillips, a father, a local tradesman, a man who blended into the background of everyday life, bundled his 3 children into a car. Jada, his bright-eyed 8-year-old daughter. Maverick, her 6-year-old brother with a laugh that could melt glaciers. And Ember, just 5 years old, whose entire world was her stuffed kiwi bird. They drove west, toward the Tasman Sea's jagged coastline, and vanished. No shattered glass, no frantic 111 calls, just silence. Days later, their car was found abandoned near a remote beach, doors left open like a ghostly invitation. Inside, backpacks half-packed, a child's left shoe, a map circled in red ink, leading nowhere. But here's where the story twists. This wasn't a quiet family lost to the wilderness. Weeks later, Tom would resurface, not to authorities, not to his devastated ex-partner, but to a security camera outside a shuttered bank. A masked figure, armed and desperate, shattering the glass door with a crowbar. Then, a stolen SUV, hurtling through the night with 3 small shadows in the back seat. A break-in at a rural store, where witnesses swore they heard a child's voice whisper, "Dad, I'm scared." This is not a bedtime story. This is not a thriller you can pause. Where is Tom Phillips? Where are Jada, Maverick, and Ember? Are they victims? Or is there something far more sinister hiding in the fog of New Zealand's forgotten backcountry? The clock is still ticking. And the truth? It's out there, waiting in the shadows. December 11th, 2021, a date etched into the memory of Maricopa, a small coastal community where the roar of the Tasman Sea usually drowns out any hint of trouble. Tom Phillips, a 34-year-old father with a reputation for being a loner, but never a threat, bundles his 3 children into a beat-up 4x4. Jada, his eldest, leaves behind her favorite pink backpack, still hanging on her bedroom door. Maverick forgets his soccer trophy on the kitchen counter. Ember, the youngest, clutches her threadbare stuffed kiwi, the one she's had since she learned to walk. They drive west, past the last gas station, past the road closed sign, and into the emerald jaws of New Zealand's untamed wilderness. It's the last time anyone sees them, alive. For days, nothing seems amiss. Tom's ex-partner, unaware of the road trip, assumes he's taken the kids camping, something he'd done before. But by December 15th, panic sets in. The family's car is found abandoned near Karaithere Beach, a remote stretch of coast where cliffs crumble into the ocean. The doors are unlocked. The keys, gone. Inside, a half-eaten bag of crisps, a child's water bottle, still sloshing with liquid, and a single, cryptic note in Tom's handwriting, "Don't follow." Search teams scramble, helicopters slice through the mist, volunteers scour dense bushland, and divers plunge into icy tidal pools. Days turn to weeks. No footprints, no torn clothing, no sign of a campfire's ash. Just silence. The police call it perplexing. Locals whisper about the land itself swallowing them whole. But here's what chills the bone. Tom Phillips wasn't just a dad. He was a survivalist, a man who'd stockpiled canned goods, studied off-grid living, and bragged about disappearing if society collapsed. Was this a father's desperate attempt to shield his kids from a world he feared? Or was it a premeditated vanishing act? One that would soon spiral into something far darker? Because this wasn't the end. It was only the beginning. 17 days after the family vanished, hope flickers to life. A local fisherman, hauling his nets at dawn near Karaithere Beach, spots movement in the trees. A man in a dark jacket, 3 small figures trailing behind him. He squints. Could it be? The man turns. It's Tom Phillips. Alive. Jada, Maverick, and Ember are with him, their faces pale but unharmed. The fisherman shouts, waves his arms, but Tom freezes. For a heartbeat, father and children stare back, silent. Then, like shadows dissolving into mist, they slip into the forest. Gone. Police swarm the area within hours. K-9 units, drones, thermal cameras, but the wilderness hides its secrets well. All they find, a crumpled candy wrapper near the abandoned car, a tiny sock, damp with morning dew, and footprints, small ones, child-sized, leading nowhere. No calls to family, no plea for help, just a cold, calculated reappearance, and another disappearance. Why risk being seen? Was Tom running out of supplies, forced to scavenge near civilization? Was he trying to send a message, or mocking those searching for him? Rumors swirl. A trucker claims he saw the family hitching a ride south. A farmer reports food stolen from his shed. But nothing sticks. Tom knows this land. He's prepared for this. And with every passing hour, the trail grows colder. The children's mother makes a tearful plea on national TV. Jada, Maverick, Ember, if you can hear me, come home. But the only response is the howl of the wind through the cliffs. Tom Phillips isn't just hiding now. He's playing a game. And the rules? Only he knows them. Months pass. The world moves on. But on March 16th, 2022, chaos explodes in Tahiti, a sleepy town 80 kilometers from where Tom vanished. A masked man bursts into a bank, waving a rifle. His voice is shaky, desperate. Empty the vault. Now! Witnesses say he's tall, broad-shouldered just like Tom. He flees with a bag of cash, leaving behind a single clue, a child's hair tie, tangled in the stolen getaway car's door. 3 days later, a stolen SUV smashes through the window of a rural hardware store. Police arrive to find the vehicle abandoned, engine still smoking. Inside, camping gear, canned food, and a faded sweatshirt. Size 6, with the name Maverick stitched on the collar. The store's security camera captures shadowy figures fleeing into the night. 1 adult, 3 smaller ones. But by morning, they're gone. The crimes are reckless, sloppy. Nothing like the Tom Phillips who once planned survival trips down to the last detail. Was he starving? Was he cornered? Or was this a distraction, a way to make the world look here while he slipped away there? Police find makeshift camps deep in the bush, tunnels dug into hillsides, tarps strung between trees. But Tom's always one step ahead. He knows the land. He knows how to disappear. And the children? No screams. No cries for help. Just silence. Were Jada, Maverick, and Ember hiding in those woods? Were they watching as their father became a stranger with a gun? The truth is out there, buried in the dirt and the lies. But with every crime, the trail grows colder and the mystery grows darker. The search for Tom Phillips and his children becomes a fever dream. New Zealand's North Island, a place of breathtaking beauty, transforms into a labyrinth of dread. Authorities fan out across the bush thick, suffocating forests where sunlight struggles to reach the ground. Helicopters buzz overhead. Drones scan riverbeds. Volunteers shout the children's names until their voices crack. And then a break, deep in the Purora forest. A team stumbles upon a campsite hidden under a canopy of ferns. Tarps stretched between trees. Makeshift beds of pine needles. Cans of baked beans, emptied and stacked neatly. A child's woolen glove, caked in mud. Nearby, a fire pit, cold for weeks. Forensics confirm it. Tom and the kids were here. But when? And where did they go next? Days later, a hunter hiking near Mount Pirangia swears he sees them. A man in a green jacket. 3 small figures trailing behind him, crossing a river near a thunderous waterfall. He snaps a blurry photo, a pixelated silhouette that could be anyone. Could be no one. Police scramble, but by the time they reach the coordinates, nothing. Just the roar of water and a single candy bar wrapper caught in the rocks. Hope rises. Hope crashes. The pattern repeats. A farmer near Otorohanga reports fresh footprints near his barn. Police find a stash of stolen blankets, a half-eaten loaf of bread. A store owner in Waitomo claims a man matching Tom's description buys batteries and matches. 3 silent kids waiting in the car. But security footage shows only shadows. No faces. No license plates. Tom isn't just hiding, he's taunting them. A survivalist with a lifetime of training. Always one valley ahead, one step beyond reach. But here's the question that haunts every investigator. How does a man disappear with 3 young children? New Zealand's wilderness isn't kind. It's a land of sudden storms, jagged cliffs, and rivers that swell into killers overnight. Maverick is 6. Ember is 5. Are they cold, hungry, terrified, or have they been trained to vanish? 2. The public grows obsessed. TikTok videos dissect the case. Conspiracy theories bloom. Some claim Tom is a hero, protecting his kids from a corrupt system. Others call him a monster. The children's mother begs on live TV. Tom, if you're watching, let them come home. Please. But the wilderness doesn't answer. Then, a chilling discovery. Near another abandoned campsite, searchers find a notebook. Inside, crude drawings in crayon. stick figures holding hands under a smiling sun. A lopsided house, a dog named Buster, left behind when the family vanished. On the last page, a single word, scrawled in a child's shaky handwriting. Help. Is it real? Or a cruel hoax? Forensic analysts confirm the paper is weathered. The crayon faded by rain, but the truth remains buried. Days later, a storm washes away any tracks. The trail goes cold again. Months pass. The search scales back. Officers return to their beats. Volunteers go home. But the family's absence lingers, a raw wound in Maricopa. Birthday balloons are tied to the Phillips' empty mailbox. Strangers leave teddy bears at the abandoned car site. And the police? They keep a file open, labeled Unsolved. Because here's what we know, Tom Phillips is out there. Or he was. Jada, Maverick, and Ember are out there. Or they're not. The campsites, the stolen food, the whispers in the bush, they all point to a man who wanted to disappear. But why take the children? Why leave a trail of breadcrumbs only to burn them? The wilderness keeps its secrets. The cliffs don't speak. And the longer the silence stretches, the louder the questions become. Is this a story of survival or a tragedy waiting to be found? The answer lies somewhere in the green heart of New Zealand, where the trees press close and the truth hides in the shadows. What drives a father to vanish into the wilderness with his 3 young children? To trade bedtime stories and school lunches for a life of stolen cars and bank robberies? The case of Tom Phillips isn't just a mystery, it's a riddle wrapped in contradictions. To understand why he ran, we must wade into the shadows of his mind, where fear, obsession, and desperation collide. The broken family theory. A father's last stand, Tom Phillips' marriage had crumbled long before he disappeared. His ex-partner, estranged but still co-parenting, described him as distant in the months leading up to the vanishing. Friends say he grew bitter, convinced the courts would strip him of custody. Was this a man fighting to keep his children at any cost? Or a man punishing the world for taking his family apart? In early 2021, Tom missed 2 court-ordered visitations. His ex-partner filed a police report, accusing him of emotional manipulation of the kids. But Tom's response was silence. No texts, no calls, just a single voicemail, left days before the disappearance. They're safer with me. You'll never understand. Was this a threat or a warning? Those closest to him believe Tom snapped, that the pressure of losing his children or the fear of losing them drove him to extremes. But if love motivated him, why the bank heists? The stolen cars? How does a father's love twist into a life of crime? The protector theory. A threat only he saw. Tom Phillips was a survivalist, a prepper. His garage was stocked with canned goods, water filters, and manuals on off-grid living. Neighbors joked about his obsession until it stopped being a joke. In 2020, he began building a hidden bunker on his property, telling friends, "When society collapses, my kids will be ready." But what if Tom wasn't preparing for a hypothetical disaster? What if he believed the threat was real and imminent? Former coworkers recall paranoid rants about government tracking and shadow organizations. He quit his job as a carpenter, claiming his boss was monitoring him. He pulled the kids from school, insisting they were not safe there. Was Tom shielding Jada, Maverick, and Ember from a danger only he perceived? A local psychologist suggests he may have suffered from delusional disorder, a break from reality where imagined threats feel horrifyingly real. If so, every crime, every stolen can of food, was an act of warped heroism in his mind. But how long can children live inside their father's delusion? And what happens when the lines between protector and predator blur? The paranoia theory, a mind unraveling in the year before the disappearance. Tom's behavior grew erratic. He deleted social media, smashed his smartphone with a hammer, and forbade friends from photographing his kids. He'd pace the room during conversations. One friend admits, like he was being watched. Then came the incident at the grocery store. Security footage shows Tom arguing with a cashier over a loyalty card. "You're one of them," he shouts, knocking over a display. "Tracking us. Always tracking." Police were called, but Tom fled before they arrived. His ex-partner later found journals in his home, pages crammed with ramblings about RFID chips in vaccines and global surveillance. Mental health experts speculate that Tom's paranoia metastasized into a shared psychotic disorder, where his children, isolated and vulnerable, began to adopt his delusions. Were Jada, Maverick, And Ember taught to see the world as a battlefield? To trust no one but their father? If so, the crimes, the robberies, the break-ins weren't acts of greed. They were survival, plain and brutal. The criminal mastermind theory, a calculated plan. But what if Tom Phillips wasn't paranoid? What if he was cold, cunning, and in control? Some investigators lean into this darker angle. The abandoned car? Staged. The help note in the child's handwriting? A fake. Even the sightings of the family, carefully orchestrated illusions to throw police off his trail. Consider the timeline. Tom robs a bank after months in hiding. He steals gear from a store after surviving off-grid. Was he low on supplies, or testing his ability to outsmart authorities? A retired detective points out. He left just enough clues to keep the search alive, but never enough to get caught. This isn't madness. It's strategy. If true, where's the endgame? Did Tom fake his death? Are the children living under new identities overseas? The theory chills the bone. A father who didn't snap, but planned, who turned his kids into accomplices, who's still out there, watching, waiting, one step ahead. The community's whispers, hero, villain, or victim. In Maricopa, opinions split like fault lines. At the local pub, old-timers argue over pints. He's a monster. One growls, using those kids as shields. Another shakes his head. Nah, he's a good dad. The system failed him. Online, conspiracy theories spiral. Reddit threads dissect the case. Was Tom part of a doomsday cult? Did he uncover a corporate scandal? One TikTok video, viewed millions, claims the children were clones and Tom was fleeing a lab. Absurd? Maybe, but in the void of answers, absurdity thrives. Even the children's mother wrestles with duality. In a rare interview, she admits, I loved Tom once, but the man who took my kids? I don't know who that is. The unanswerable question, why? 2 years later, we're no closer to understanding Tom Phillips. Every theory crashes against the same wall. If he loved his children, why risk their lives in the wild? If he feared the world, why draw attention with crimes? If he was a mastermind, why leave sloppy clues? Perhaps the truth lies in the collision of all these things: a fractured mind, a broken heart, and a survivalist's pride. A man who believed, to his core, that he was the only one who could save his children, even as he destroyed them. Until Tom speaks, or the wilderness gives up its secrets, we're left with echoes. A father's voicemail. They're safer with me. A child scribbled help. A family swallowed by the enigma of their own story. In the end, the question isn't just where are they? It's who is he? And in that question, the mystery deepens, darker and more haunting with every passing day. 1. The passage of time. A case grows cold. 2 years. 730 days. 17,520 hours. That's how long it's been since Tom Phillips and his children Jada, Maverick, and Ember vanished into New Zealand's wilderness. 2 years of dead ends. 2 years of whispers. 2 years of a mother staring at an empty doorstep, waiting for a knock that never comes. The official investigation has stalled. No arrests. No bodies. No closure. Just silence. But silence isn't empty. It's heavy with questions. Where are they? And what does the land know that we don't? 2. Scenario 1. Lost to the wild. The simplest answer is often the cruelest. New Zealand's backcountry is no playground. It's a maze of steep gorges, flash floods, and forests so dense, even sunlight gets lost. Search and rescue veterans admit privately, if Tom and the kids perished out there, their bodies may never be found. A hunter's boot sinks into mud, and it could be a grave. A landslide buries a ravine, and with it, the truth. But there's a problem with this theory. Tom wasn't a novice. He'd spent years honing survival skills. He knew how to build shelters, purify water, trap food. Would a man like that let his children starve? Would he not signal for help if disaster struck? And what about the campsites? The stolen supplies? The evidence suggests not just survival, but a grim determination to stay hidden. Then there's the drawing. In one abandoned campsite, wedged under a rock, police found a sheet of notebook paper, a child's drawing in blue crayon, 5 stick figures, a mom, dad, 3 kids, holding hands under a rainbow. The paper was weathered, the edges torn, but the message is clear, a longing for home, for family. If Tom and the children died in the wild, did their last moments look like that drawing? A dream of reunion, or a farewell? 3. Scenario 2. A life in shadows. Here's another possibility, one that chills investigators to the core. Tom Phillips is alive. So are Jada, Maverick, and Ember. They're living off-grid, under fake names, in a remote corner of the country, or beyond. Imagine it, a cabin deep in the Fjordland rainforest. A man teaching his kids to fish, forage, and forget the world they left behind. No schools, no birthdays, no friends, just survival. But how? To vanish completely. Tom would need help. Money, false documents. Yet bank records show no large withdrawals before he disappeared. His family insists he had no secret savings. Unless the crimes weren't acts of desperation. The bank robbery, the stolen SUV, the hardware store break-in. What if they were funding a new life? A retired detective poses a darker idea. Those kids aren't hostages. They're camouflage. A man with children attracts less suspicion. A dad buying groceries, renting a cabin, boarding a ferry who'd look twice. Tom could have crossed into Australia by boat, changed their hair, burned their old clothes, started over. But to do that, he'd have to erase everything. Even their names. Are Jada, Maverick, and Ember now Lily, Jack, and Sophie? Are they laughing in a schoolyard somewhere? Their past lives a fading dream? Or are they trapped in a nightmare? Trained to call another man dad? 4. Scenario 3. A father's descent into madness. Then there's the unthinkable. What if Tom's delusions consumed him? What if the man who once packed school lunches became a monster the wilderness created? Mental health experts warn that isolation breeds psychosis. Imagine months in the bush, jumping at every crack of a twig, convinced helicopters are hunting you. A man like that could snap. A man like that could do anything. Rumors persist in Maricopa. A trapper claims he found a shallow grave near Mount Taranaki. A psychic insists she sees the children near a lake, waiting to be found. None of it's credible. None of it's disproven. The darkest theory? Tom harmed his kids to protect them from a world he hated, then vanished into the wild, alone with his guilt. But without bodies, it's just a ghost story. And ghost stories don't close cases. 5. The evidence that haunts the drawings. Let's return to the drawings. 5 stick figures. A rainbow. A house with smoke curling from the chimney. They appear in multiple campsites, under rocks, tucked into tree hollows. Always the same theme, family. Together. Happy. Forensic analysts confirm the crayon matches a set found in Jada's bedroom. The shaky lines? Consistent with a child's hand. But here's what keeps detectives awake. The drawings are dated. On the corner of one, scribbled in faint pencil, March 2022, 3 months after the family vanished. If this is real, it means the children were alive, drawing, hoping, long after the world wrote them off. But why would Tom let them leave clues? Was it a cry for help he couldn't voice? Or a taunt from a man who wanted the world to remember? 6. The mother's agony, a voice in the void. The children's mother doesn't sleep. She keeps their backpacks by the door, just in case. Their toothbrushes still in the cup. Their beds made. In a tear-filled interview, she admits, "I play the voicemail every night. Tom's last words, they're safer with me." But how? How are they safe in the dark? In the cold? She's not alone in her torment. Maverick's best friend, a boy named Liam, still saves him a seat at lunch. Ember's kindergarten teacher leaves a candle burning in her classroom window. The town tries to move on, but grief lingers like fog. A local pastor says it plainly. This isn't a missing persons case. It's a wound, and wounds don't heal when you can't find the bullet. 7. The police's last card, a phantom in the machine. New Zealand police haven't given up. Not officially. The case file remains open, a sprawling puzzle with half the pieces missing. In 2023, they released age-progressed photos of the children. Jada at 10, Maverick at 8, Ember at 7, smiling, unseen. A digital billboard in Auckland flashes their faces daily, but tips dry up. Someone knows something, insists the lead detective, but fear keeps them silent. Fear of what? Tom, the law, or the truth itself? One officer confides, "We're not just chasing a man, we're chasing a ghost, and ghosts don't leave fingerprints." 8. The community's vigil, Hope ASAACT of Defiance, in Maricopa. You'll find a roadside memorial, faded teddy bears, rain-soaked letters, a pair of child sneakers, size 12. Lockers gather here every December 9th, holding candles that flicker like fireflies against the night. They sing lullabies. They pray. They refuse to let the Phillips family become a footnote. But beneath the hope, anger simmers. Why isn't anyone looking anymore? Demands a neighbor. Those kids are out there. Someone knows. Yet someone stays silent. The wilderness keeps its secrets. And the longer the silence stretches, the louder the questions echo. Are they alive? Are they together? Does Tom ever regret the choices he made? Or is he still out there, staring at the stars, convinced he did the right thing? 9. The ugly truth: some mysteries don't yendi. Not every story has an ending. Not every question gets an answer. The Phillips case is a reminder that the world is vast, and darkness lingers in its corners. We want to believe in resolutions: the bad man caught, the children saved, the credits rolling. But real life isn't a movie. Real life is messy, unfinished, haunted. So where are they? The truth is, we don't know. Maybe they're buried under a landslide. Maybe they're laughing on a beach in Fiji. Maybe Tom Phillips is reading this right now, smirking at the chaos he left behind. All we have are fragments: a drawing, a footprint, a father's voice, trembling on a voicemail. You'll never understand. He's right. We don't. And maybe we never will. Let's end this story where it began, in the quiet, in the spaces between what we know and what we fear. Jada, Maverick, and Ember Phillips are not just names on a missing poster. They are echoes. A birthday cake left uneaten in a mother's freezer, still wrapped in pink frosting and happy 9th. Jada, scrawled in her handwriting. A classroom desk where Maverick once sat, now occupied by a new student who glances at the empty chair beside him and wonders. A playground where Ember's best friend still swings alone, whispering secrets to the wind, hoping somehow she'll hear. New Zealand's wilderness stretches on. Indifferent. It does not care about our questions. It does not mourn. The cliffs of Maricopa still crumble into the sea. The rivers still carve their paths through ancient rock. And somewhere out there, Tom Phillips' choices linger like smoke. Was he a villain? A martyr? A man broken by his own mind? The land holds the answer, but it speaks in riddles. The police file gathers dust. The headlines fade. But in the quiet corners of the internet, strangers still obsess. They zoom in on blurry trail cam photos, analyzing shadows. They dissect Tom's last voicemail, playing it backward, hunting for hidden messages. They argue in forums. He's in Argentina. They're buried near the waterfall. The kids are alive, I feel it. But feelings aren't facts. And facts are what we lack. So we're left with this. 3 children who should be in 4th grade, learning fractions and riding bikes. A father who vanished into myth. And a mother who sits on the floor of her children's bedroom, tracing her finger over the dust outlines of where their toys once lay. She doesn't cry anymore. She just whispers the same words, over and over, to the silence. Come home, come home, come home. But the silence doesn't answer. It never does. The world moves on. Wars rage. Seasons change. And the Phillips family becomes a ghost story, told in hushed tones around campfires. A cautionary tale about the wilderness, or madness, or love gone wrong. But here's the truth: ghost stories don't need endings. They need only haunt us. So tonight, when you turn out the lights, think of them. Think of Jada's laugh, Maverick's soccer trophy, Ember's stuffed kiwi buried in the dirt somewhere. Think of Tom, whatever he is now, a monster, a martyr, a man lost to the dark. And ask yourself, how far would you go to protect the ones you love? What lines would you cross? What truths would you bury? The clock ticks on. The mystery remains. And somewhere, in the shadow of a forgotten forest, a child's drawing flutters in the wind. 5 stick figures, holding hands, forever frozen under a rainbow that never fades. And remember, not all monsters hide in the dark. Some hide in plain sight, as fathers, neighbors, men who smile and wave and pack their kids' lunches, right before they disappear.